Greetings, Guardians, this is Olympus Alliance, and today we're diving into one of those heroes that many players use, but very few truly understand, because Nebula is not a hero that wins fights on her own. She is a hero that transforms everything around her, and if you place her correctly, if you time her correctly, and if you build around her correctly, she turns good teams into unstoppable ones. Nebula is often described as a support, but that's only a small part of the story, because what she really is a tempo controller, a multiplier, a hidden engine that sits inside your team and amplifies the right moment at the right time, and that is why so many players either get incredible results with her, or feel like she does nothing at all, because with Nebula there is no middle ground. Either you understand her, or you don't. At the core of everything she does is her boost, that sphere that every few seconds shifts between allies, increasing both physical and magic attack, and this might sound simple at first, but it changes everything about how your team functions, because suddenly, your damage is not constant anymore, it comes in waves, it comes in spikes, and when those spikes align with your key abilities, that's when fights are decided. And this is why positioning is everything. Because Nebula doesn't just buff the entire team randomly, she boosts the nearest allies, and that means where you place her in your lineup directly determines who gets the power, who gets the amplification, and who becomes the win condition of the fight, and this is where many players fail. They treat her like a passive support, when in reality she is one of the most active decision-making heroes in the game. You are not just choosing to include Nebula. You are choosing who she empowers. And once you understand that, everything starts to make sense. Now let's talk about what happens when that boost is used correctly, because this is where Nebula becomes truly dangerous, not by herself, but through the heroes she enables. Take Iris for example, a hero that already deals massive magic damage, a hero that punishes enemies over time, but that can sometimes struggle against high magic defense, and this is exactly where Nebula steps in, because when that boost lands at the right moment, Iris doesn't just deal damage. She overwhelms, she burns through resistance, she turns pressure into execution, and what was once manageable for the enemy suddenly becomes impossible to sustain. And this is not random. This is timing. Because when Nebula's boost aligns with Iris' damage window, the result is not just stronger damage. It's decisive damage, damage that ends fights. Now take that same concept and move into a completely different direction with Amira, because here we are not talking about sustained damage, we are talking about bursts, explosions, those moments where everything builds up and then releases all at once, and this is where Nebula elevates her to another level, because that boost turns strong into overwhelming, it turns a powerful ability into something that completely breaks the opponent's structure. What was once a dangerous hit becomes a fight-ending moment. And this is the beauty of Nebula, she doesn't care what type of damage you are dealing, physical, magical, burst, sustained. She amplifies it, she enhances it, she pushes it beyond what it would normally reach, and that flexibility is what makes her so valuable. But her synergy doesn't stop there. Because when we look at heroes like Judge and Isaac, we start to see a different side of her impact, not just raw damage, but reinforcement and disruption. Judge's shields become stronger, more reliable, harder to break, turning defense into something much more stable, while Isaac becomes even more effective at shredding the opponent, reducing their ability to fight back, weakening their structure, and opening the door for your team to take control. And this is where Nebula becomes more than just a booster. She becomes a facilitator. She enables the team to function at a higher level. She creates space. She creates time. And speaking of time, this is where we need to talk about one of her most underrated strengths, her ability to disrupt the enemy's tempo. Because Nebula is not just about helping your team. She also interferes with the opponent, her projectile, her timing, her interactions can break cycles, interrupt setups, delay key abilities, and against teams that rely heavily on precise timing, this can be devastating. because once you break that rhythm, once you disrupt that sequence, the entire structure starts to collapse. And this is why Nebula is so effective against tempo-based teams. She doesn't just fight them. She dismantles them. She creates chaos where there was structure. And in that chaos, your team gains the advantage. Now when we combine all of this with heroes like Julius, we start to see even more layers, because now you are not just boosting and disrupting, you are also cleansing, removing debuffs, resetting the fight, giving your team a second chance when things go wrong, and this combination turns Nebula into something very rare in this game. A hero that doesn't just fill one role, but multiple at the same time. She boosts. She supports. She disrupts. She protects. And that is why we say she is not just a support hero. She is a system. She is a mechanism that, when used correctly, elevates everything around her. But with that power comes responsibility. Because if you place her wrong, if you ignore positioning, if you don't think about who she is boosting and when, then you lose all of that value. She becomes average. She becomes replaceable. And that is the difference between casual use and optimized use. So Guardians, the real question is not whether Nebula is strong. The real question is how well you are using her, how well you understand her timing, her positioning, her synergy, because once you master those elements, you will start to see results that other players simply cannot replicate. You will see fights where your team suddenly spikes harder, reacts faster, survives longer, and wins more consistently. And that is the power of Nebula. So now we want to hear from you. How are you using her? Which heroes are you pairing her with? Have you experimented with positioning? Have you seen the difference when the timing aligns perfectly? Because this is a hero that rewards understanding, and the more you explore her, the more you will unlock. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and as always, salute and friendship.